Welcome, everyone, to the next perfect step, where all possibility lies in conversation. I'm your co host, Lori Mullen.
I'm your co-host, Lori Tremblay.
And I'm your co-host, Kim McStay.
We are so excited to have a special guest, Peg Donahue, on today, who's going to talk to us about Feng Shui. And I was fortunate enough to work with her when I first was opening my office, and she helped me set everything up. So, Peg, I would really love for you to talk about what Feng Shui is, how you got started in it.
Okay, I'd be happy to. So, Feng Shui is the art and science of arranging your environment to enhance your life. So, it's really as simple as that. And it's all about the energy of your space and how the energy of your space really influences your life and everything that happens in it. And I got started in Feng Shui about 25 years ago. I had left a corporate job that a company I worked for 21 years, and I thought I'd take 6 months off and get another job. And my life kind of evolved from there. So it's been over 25 years that I've done. I did a deep metaphysical dive study, if you will. And I learned about Feng Shui. I went to 3 Feng Shui programs. I had a Feng Shui school myself for 7 years where I taught practitioners. I studied building biology or the art and science of healthy homes and healthy environments. I studied intuition. I do also space clearing and personal clearing. So I did a deep dive into, I would say, all things energy from a metaphysical point of view. And it was really my clients that encouraged me to go deeper into this just through questions and issues that they had. And I was curious about them and, curious about how all things really connected. And it really is all about how the energy of your space influences your life. So, as I would work with clients, a lot of it would be about identifying obstacles in spaces that matched the very issues that they were trying to change or enhance in their lives. So, it's like detective work. It's really a lot of fun. I also co-authored 2 books along the way. One was Dorming Room Feng Shui. So that was, I think, in 2005. And the second book I co-authored is called Money is an Energy Game. So it's all about prosperity and how what we do, say, think, act, how all of that influences the prosperity in our lives. And so prosperity is not just about money. It's about everything. It's about health, it's wellness, it's overall well-being.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't know you wrote 2 books. That's congratulations.
I did. Well, I participated in a few others as well, but I was sort of just. Oh, and I also taught at SNHU, Southern New Hampshire University. I did that for 4 years, and I taught a business program there. But then I decided, or a business course there, but I decided I really wanted to work with my own clients, and so I went back to doing that.
So I understand that the feng shui is directions as well, right? North, south,
Well,
east, and west.
directions are one part of it. So there are 2 types of feng shui, or 2, well, maybe more than 2 types, but 2 primary types, one or schools of thought. One is the Chinese or the Asian school of thought, where we use the feng shui compass. The other is the Western approach, where we use the feng shui bagua. So directions are used in both of those. So in the compass, it is actual directions. And when we're using the feng shui bagua, this is where we say superimpose a tic-tac-toe board on your space. And in that system, we are using the directions symbolically. So it would be the symbolic north, and that would be the position where you, the center front of the space that you enter is a symbolic north versus the actual north placement.
That sounds really interesting. So how does it clear the energy? That just by moving objects or moving energetic objects, or what? How does it clear the space?
Okay,
I'm interested because I don't know that much about it. So.
Okay. Yeah, these are great questions. So, whenever well, first of all of our positions contain your energy. They are always absorbing the energy, the chi, what we call chi, of the events that take place in that space. So if you look around your offices now, look around your homes now, etc., everything that's there really contains the chi and the history of what has happened in that space. You know, there's an old saying, boy, if these walls could talk, they would have stories to tell. And that is so true. So think of, how old homes really carry the history of that space. And sometimes you walk into a space and it feels really, really good. And other times you walk in and you really just want to leave. Well, that is because you're feeling the energy of that space. So your possessions are containing that energy. And if they are positive occurrences in that space, then your possessions will have really good positive energy. However, if there have been conflicts in that space or illness in that space, the energy also contains those components as well. So that can lower the chi or lower the energetic, think of it as a vibration in that space. So I do a lot of space clearing as well. So, and I've been taught by many teachers, throughout the years. So when I do space clearing, I use a method called dowsing, and I do ceremony. So I do it primarily remotely these days. I do it for people all over the world. So I set up a sacred space, an altar, a sacred space. And for space clearing, usually I do a questionnaire, so I'm gauging what has happened in that space or the types of energies that are there, and then I do dowsing to clear them. But people can go in and clear or shift the energy in the space by, first of all, removing all the clutter. So, well, maybe we never remove all the clutter, but removing clutter, let me just put it that way. So clutter is anything that you don't use or you don't love. Simple as that. Putting everything away, giving everything a home. So the less that you have out in the open space, really the better, because you want energy to flow through, to move through. And then clearing a space, open the windows, letting the air blow through. You can burn incense or sage in a space. You can ring a bell, play sacred music or classical music, music with a high vibration. Those are all great ways to shift the energy in a space. So think of it that way. And I also do that for people as well. I do a lot of personal clearings. So help people clear themselves of energies that have been stuck.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So when we worked together in my office, you were able to tell me like to break down the room and tell me where like this was the business energy and this was the prosperity energy and this was the educational energy to a room. Can you tell us a little bit more about like how a room can be divided by those?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So that's where we place the Feng Shui Bagua. And so think of the Bagua. Ba means 8 and Gua is sections. So it's like an 8-section map that we superimpose over a space. So you would take, say, the room. Let's just work with a room. And you can also apply this to your land, to your house, every room in your house. So you draw a picture of your room. And, just make notations where the doors, windows, and furniture are. And then superimpose a tic-tac-toe board on that. So it's a grid of 9 blocks. And that might be a square, it might be a rectangle, might be a tall rectangle, vertical rectangle, it doesn't matter. But put the, 9 blocks over that space. And then the center front block, so the block that's closest to you in the center front, that is what we call the Kriya area. So that's the area where we would energize, activate, if you will, for life opportunities, for a new job, for your career. Then moving over to the left from that, the left corner is what we call the knowledge area. So that's about your deep inner knowledge. Moving up the left side, we come to the family area. It's also about community, and in work, it's your work community. In life, it's families and ancestors. So it's about the energy of your parents, your grandparents, siblings. The back left corner is prosperity. So many people are most concerned with the back left corner. So that's the prosperity, or what we call the wealth area. So that's a great one to keep in very good shape, and to make sure that you're really minimizing the clutter there and keep the flow of energy moving. The center back is what we call fame and reputation. So it's about how well you're known. So, if you're in the business now of running a podcast and publicizing a podcast, so that would be an important area in your own spaces to bring in more visibility for the work that you're doing. The fame area, so the center back. The back right is what we call partnership, relationship, marriage. So it's about joining in partnership with others. Coming down the right side, the right center area is called children and joy. It's about the future, and it's also about retirement years. So the family area on the left side is where we came from. The children and joy area is about where we're heading. It's also about what we give birth to. So we give birth to businesses and activities and projects. Companies have subsidiaries, so that would be associated with the children and joy section. And then the front right corner is called helpful people and travel. So it's about the right people showing up in your life at the right time. And it's also about travel. And then we swing back to the center. The center is what we call the Tai Chi area. And everything, all the energy revolves around the center. So whatever type of energy is in the center, that is permeating out through that entire space. So that's the Feng Shui Bagua. And as I said, you can apply that to your house, your whole house, and then break it down to each room. You can also do it for the land as well. And when I'm working with clients, I typically ask, and I would have asked you this, Laurie, what are your top 3 wishes? Because then I take those top 3 wishes and I map them to the Bagua. I figure out which area they are tied to energetically, and then we zero in and work primarily with those 3 areas. Because Feng Shui can be overwhelming. And I think that's where people get stuck with it. It's like, oh my gosh, there's so much here. And there is, because it runs very, very deep. But you peel all that away, isolate what it is your intentions really are, and then work with those.
I agree. I went down, the rabbit hole of feng shui. I was all in. I was like, this is fascinating, and was totally overwhelmed and
Yes.
was like backed right up. But I tell you, working with you was just seamless and effortless. It was fun
that's awesome.
actually to work with you and to learn everything that we did at our session.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And that's
really
after you
fun.
tried it on your own.
What?
That's after you tried to figure it out on your own.
Yes, right.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was like, this is way over my head.
Well, you know what? That's how I got started in it, because that same thing happened to me. Because when I was in the corporate world, I, had been diving into it and studying what is this feng shui stuff, and this would have been the late 90s. And one day I remember I took off of work and I took all my feng shui books, I piled them up, and I took the map of our house and our land, and just started mapping everything that I, from these books. And it turned out I was working with both the compass system and the Western system, the Feng Shui Bagua. And by the time I got done, I said, oh my gosh, these 2 systems are the same. When they overlap, they really are the same. And when I had a Feng Shui school, some of the students were learning compass and some were learning the Western system. I remember one day I just sent them off into a house and said, use whatever method you want, but then, find the top 3 issues. What would you do? What would you recommend? And when they came back and we all got together, they really hit on the top 3 issues, but they approached it from different angles, but they got it, which was great. And so they really showed each other. It doesn't matter which system you use. And sometimes out in the public arena, there'll be people that feel strongly about one system or the other. Say, this is the right one, the other one, doesn't work. Well, in my experience, that's not the case. They all work. And the biggest piece behind it is your intention. What is it that you want, and what is it you're trying to do? Bring that to the surface, and then identify what the issues, what the blockages are in your space primarily. What do you need to either shift or remove or change, and what can you enhance? And I always recommend don't start enhancing anything until you get it clean and organized and everything put away, because otherwise you risk enhancing chaos and you risk bringing more of that those unsettled feelings into your space, and you really don't want to do that. Yeah. So I'm glad that it worked. It worked well for you, and that you found it easy to understand at that point.
Yes, yes. It was fascinating. I loved working with you and learning all about it. It was
Okay, and
exciting.
these days, just as we're doing here, we're on Zoom today. I work with people all over the world, and through the technical tools that we have, we didn't have these in the 1990s, and so but we have them today. So it makes it easy to do this work globally without really traveling to the space. So I'll do it over Zoom. It can be you can be on your phone. We can do Facebook or FaceTime. WhatsApp. Really, whatever works best.
What have you noticed working with Feng Shui personally for yourself?
What have I noticed? Well, I've been doing it now for putting it in place for over 25 years. So it's just a normal course of living for me, of always adjusting my space. When I first started learning it and I was in the corporate world, I realized that I was already doing a lot of the practice. Like I had a habit of, well, in the company I work for, we had some corporate standards, and one of the corporate standards was neatness, which was awesome. Because every work area had to be neat. Well, that doesn't always happen, right? But we would have cleanup days and big trash cans would show up. So people were encouraged to clean up their offices. Well, that is one of the key aspects to having chi flow through. And I also had the habit of bringing in flowers for myself. About every week I'd bring in a vase of fresh flowers because I loved having them in the office. Well, that's another really big chi boost, right there to, I didn't know that there was a language for all of these things that I was doing. And I'm a Virgo, so neatness comes to me anyways, and order and figuring things out. So that all, it's a part of my persona, I guess, what I do naturally. So I found out, wow, there's a method to all of this, and there's some art and science behind it. And it's been around for a very long time, and it makes a difference in your life. So in my life, there just is a lot of synchronicity, and a lot of things flow smoothly, or when problems come up, I have methods and ways of cutting right to the chase and resolving them.
Great. And Feng Shui is pretty ancient, isn't it? How old is the
It goes back
practice?
to China about 6,000 years. So it
Yeah.
was discovered, if you will, by the Taoist masters. That's Taoist. And it started off in China was an agrarian community or a farming community at the time. So they realized that the most prosperous farmers had farms that they had mountains behind them, and they had water in front, for the rice paddies, and the mountains served as protection, and there was some protection on both sides. So that's how the formation came into place, and this is actually the thought behind placing your bed, so that you can see the door, that you have the wide space of the room in front of you. You can see the door, you have support from behind. And that goes for the same as for your desk and for your stove. It comes out of China being an agrarian community, and the most prosperous farmers, they faced the water. They had the mountains behind them, really for protection from, warring communities and armies coming in. The sun would come up in front as well. Yeah. So it comes out of that. And then also, as people moved to the cities, in the Chinese system, they look to the stars. They look to the stars of the Big Dipper. So there's 9 altogether, 7 main stars and 2 on the ends. And that became the basis of the flying star system in the compass system. And so then they would look at the physical directions of the buildings, how the buildings faced. And they applied those same life issues to the directions. For instance, southeast happens to be in the compass system, the prosperity area. The southwest happens to be the partnership area. The north is career. The south is fame. And then one of the other layers that comes into the system is the 5-element system. And this comes out of, or is a big part, the basis of Chinese medicine. So we have the 5 elements of wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. And each of these has particular attributes. And so they have colors associated. Water is black, fire is red, the wood is blue and green, earth is yellow, metal is white. So the color system layers in. The directions layer in. That in the north happens to be associated with black and career. The south is fire and red. So you can start to see how these layer in. They also have a mythical Chinese family, a mom, a dad, 3 boys, 3 girls. And so this layers onto the Bagua. And what I do is I simplify all this for people. So you don't have to really know this, but I apply it like the partnership area happens to be the area of the mother. So what I have realized in my practice over the years, if somebody's looking for a partnership, but there happens to be a blockage somewhere along the way with their mother, it might be their mother, it might be a mother in their life, so to speak, until they really resolve that, the partnership is not going to either come or it's not going to flow easily. And there's a similar area with the dad. The father area happens to be helpful people in travel. Well, that's also associated with the brain. So migraine headaches are there, but sometimes if there are blockages with father energy, there will be blockages maybe in the body or in that area of attracting the right people into your life. So for me, it's a matter of listening to what is going on in each person's life and then applying the knowledge of the Feng Shui Bagua and the Feng Shui compass to what's happening. And also how their space looks and feels. And there are health patterns. We overlay the organ networks on this. And the organs come out of the 5-element system and out of Chinese acupuncture. In fact, years ago when I was learning all this, one of my teachers said, go to the Chinese medicine books. That's where you'll learn about the 5 elements. And I did.
There's just so much to it. It's so big and it hits on every angle. I mean, it's fascinating. It's just fascinating.
And so it is my clients that have had me go deeper. I mean, they didn't ask me to go deeper. It was my own curiosity that drove me deeper. I've had a couple of clients over the years that had ear problems, hearing problems. Well, I learned by doing some research on it that ears are associated with the kidneys. The kidneys are associated with fear. And in a few of the instances, the people that had ear problems also did not like their careers. And the ears are also associated with the front door area or center front door. So the career is, if you have a house with a center front door, that's your career area. Well, one of these houses, when I showed up, it happened to be March. The door was taped shut on the outside, on the inside, and snow up against it on the inside, on the outside. Well, we live in New England. So, it's very practical to keep the cold out. So years ago, people would tape shut those doors, but we're also blocking them. And you ever feel like around March, people are climbing the walls around here? They just want to get out. Well, drive around and look at all the houses where the snow is blocking that front door. And you'll see the visual evidence of how we block ourselves, how we stymie our own energy. Well, that client happened to shovel his front door, the snow from the front door right away, took the tape down. And a few months later, I was chatting with his wife, and they had forgotten all about the air problems. He had ear problems. He happened to be an air traffic controller, and it just went away. So it's fascinating to me how different patterns show up. Another time I was called into a house, the family, they wanted to have a child, and it had been many years, and one, wasn't coming. Well, I just happened to ask them about a big piece of furniture. It just, occurred to me, tell me about this piece of furniture. Well, it happened to be in their children and creativity area. And this particular piece of furniture, it's huge. It was like a big chest, floor to ceiling. It came to them as a wedding present, only they never liked it. But it was built by a family member, and they didn't know what to do about it. But so here it was, this huge block sitting in their children's area. And also in that, on that property, the children's area was missing. So it was a double block. We had a cutout in the land. It was through an angle on the plot, and this big block of furniture that was sitting there. So I suggested that maybe they could give it to another family member because other family members loved that piece of furniture, only they didn't. It just wasn't their style. And then I really hadn't heard from them for a long time, but years later I found out, oh my gosh, they had had a daughter. And so she did manage to get pregnant shortly after we met and had a healthy baby. So that was awesome. Another client called me in. It was about a prosperity issue. And, she wanted to know how to charge things up a bit. And in her prosperity area was a clock that was broken. But she proceeded to tell me about a story, how her brother had cheated her out of her inheritance. And, she was really upset about that. So this clock was it was hers, but had been a gift to her parents, a wedding gift to her parents. And the image of the clock was of pirates on the high seas. So what do pirates do? They cheat and they steal. This was sitting on the wall in her prosperity area, and it was also broken. So there was a broken item. It was also an image that was mimicking what was happening in her life, being cheated. So anyways, that was like, wow, So she took the clock down and suggested that, she take it out, have it fixed, have it appraised, and maybe there was some wealth in that clock. But so it's amazing, and she did that. So it's amazing how our patterns mimic what's going on in our life. And that's really what Feng Shui is all about, the energy in our spaces.
Well, I'm kind of blown away by a lot of this that you're talking about, and you've given me so many great ideas that I'm going to work on as soon as this podcast is over. But I wanted to ask you a little bit about like the plants in your home and mirrors.
Sure.
Those have always, I've always wondered about the placement of plants. And I know I went into a house that had two mirrors, one on either side, and I felt really weird. So I
Okay.
didn't know if that had anything, if you had any wisdom on that.
Oh, sure. So there's a couple of things to unpack there. So first of all, mirrors. Mirrors are like aspirin in Feng Shui. So they replicate things. They double an image. So when you have two mirrors like that, a mirror on either side, you step into the middle of that. It's almost like you're disappearing. You can disappear in that, or you can be magnified as well. So it's magnifying the energy that's there. You could use mirrors like that if you wanted to widen a space, like if you had a very narrow hallway. You could use a mirror technique like that, or you could, they probably had the mirrors there because they liked them. But when I study the energy, if somebody brought me into a home and told me what was going on, then I might happen to talk to them about those two mirrors. You could, in a narrow hallway, you could use a mirror, put, say, a nice picture on one side and a mirror opposite that. And that provides depth and helps to energetically widen a narrow space. Or you could line a narrow hallway with double mirrors, and that automatically, energetically widens that space. So when you go into hallways, and particularly in public buildings and restaurants and the like, look at how they're using mirrors and what's going on there. And as I said, mirrors are like aspirin and Feng Shui. So energetically, they are empty until you put intention into them. So we do a lot of things with mirrors and Feng Shui. And then plants, you asked about plants. So plants are vibrant energy. So plants are good. Plants add health, they add vitality, they help to raise the chi or the energy in a space. So keep your plants healthy. Sometimes, I do think that plants also absorb the stress of an environment. So, they'll die. Well,
Mhm.
then that happens. When that happens, return them to the earth. Just, let them go, thank them, for the energy they brought, and get some new ones, replace them. Use plants that you love. I recommend going for plants that have soft edges, that upward, growth. I had, some huge spiders over the years, spider plants over the years. And then when I learned about Feng Shui, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like a downward energy. One day
Oh,
somebody had
wow.
given, what's that?
Wow. I didn't realize that. I have a lot of those.
Yeah. Well, you can cut them off and make them into babies and things like that. But keep them lively as you can. And one day somebody had given me a silk spider plant. And it's like, what am I going to do with a silk spider plant? Because plants, you want them to be fresh. And I used to always love dried flowers as well. But then until I learned and realized, it's understood, it's obvious to me now. Well, dried flowers, they're dead flowers. But they're beautiful in the fall. So when they're freshly dried, that's great. But if you have, like, say, hydrangeas that have been hanging, or roses, they've been hanging on for, time after time, it may be time to let those go and bring in something that has some fresher energy to it.
That's really interesting. My sister she's not Feng Shui, but she should be because she was so intuitive about that.
Maybe she knows a
And
lot about it, into it.
yeah, I think she
Yeah.
really does. But she came into my house and she was like, "You got to get rid of this. You got to get rid of, And I couldn't believe the difference after I listened to
Okay.
her
So you
advice.
have
I
felt
was
this.
blown away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
listening to you and how it's
Yeah,
really
I'm thinking of a plant. There's a plant out there called a mother-in-law's tongue. It's one of those, it has sharp edges and long plants. Well, you know, there are appropriate ways to use that, but many people just have it and are oblivious to it. But that could trigger a lot of arguments, sharp tongues. Just as knife blocks, knives in blocks on kitchen counters. I'm a cook. I love to cook. I had two sets of knife blocks on my counters till I realized that they also promote argumentative energy. So it's better to have your knives in drawers. Keep them safely. You can get knife blocks in for drawers rather than have them out on your kitchen counter. So if there are a lot of arguments in the house, if there are knife blocks there, you might be better off putting those knives in drawers rather than keeping them out in the open to get rid of those sharp blades.
wow.
So there's lots of subtle things that are going on, and it's not the same for everybody. Like one size does not fit all. It really matters what's going on in that person's life and what it is that he or she would like to shift.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So one thing I always recommend, and this is a nice time to do it, front doors. The front door of your house is what we call the main mouth of chi. So keep your front door in great shape, great condition. Keep it free of clutter, keep shoes away from it. It's easy, to come in, take off your shoes. Well, organize them. Either have a cabinet there, a basket there, something there to catch the shoes. Because it can also be a tripping hazard as well. If everybody comes in, takes off their shoes, they're not organized, then that can introduce chaos into that space as well. Get all the debris away from the front door, inside and out, outside. If you have lights out there, make sure they're working. I have noticed patterns come fall, the light bulbs tend to burn out faster. So check those outdoor lights, before winter comes to make sure that they're operational. Get all the spider webs away from, the front door and the lights and all that. Yeah. Big things. So if we follow basic patterns of keeping your space neat and clean, you will begin to create good feng shui.
Great advice. Besides neat and clean, well, the other thing when we worked together was a lot of the angles and
Yes,
things that I could do that the angles also, it was
yes.
something with the
So
energy and the angles and
there's
how
a lot to do
sharp
with angles.
points.
So
Yeah.
Right. So, like furniture, the best furniture would be rounded and curved. And so angles in space, like right now in my office, you can see an angle in the back corner because I have my desk semi on a diagonal. So that's okay. If the angle were reversed, though, if it were a point that were coming at me, I would want to either shift my desk or put something there to soften that angle because an angle coming at you is like a knife edge. It can and be sharp and cutting energy, either from behind or in front. So if you're sitting at your desk and you're looking in front, if you happen to have an angle, pointing at your desk, then you may want to adjust that as well. Furniture, you don't want to be walking around your house or your office or whatever and bumping into furniture. So you want to arrange things so that doesn't happen. And work to soften the angles. You can put like a tablecloth can help soften corners. You can also what I'm thinking if you have an angle coming at you, like in a prior house that we had, the way the bed was positioned in the room, we actually had two sharp angles coming towards the bed. So what I did is I softened those with crystal. I hung a crystal. They're called knife edges. And so I hung a crystal at the top of the ceiling, just in front of each angle, and that energetically softens it. It helps it to disappear. That's what it does.
Yeah, that's what I did. I took a crystal hanging and it had balls and it had like 5 different circular
Yes.
crystal balls that came down, and we hung that right in front of the angle that came out like
Yes.
that. But ever since then, me and my husband always talk about how everything's square with points. And why can't we just make everything circular? Like, why don't we live in circular houses then? So the energy's constantly just flowing like.
And there are some circular houses.
Right?
Right. But you don't want to spend too much. So a circular energy, and I'm just thinking now, so circular energy is of the aligned with the metal element. Square energy is aligned with the earth element. So there we have the combination of heaven and earth right there. And that's also what Chinese coins are, combination of the square and the circle, heaven and earth. Yeah. So that all of these, there's so many layers and I want to say angles, to feng shui to learn. But for me, I just learned it. Well, I dove deep into it actually, and just had to learn. I was curious about it, and then different situations would come where I would go even deeper. And it's all about the patterns. So when you study and analyze the patterns in your space and make changes, it's like wow. And sometimes people will make change and they'll say, well, nothing happened. Well, something is always happening. It may be that you just didn't tune in and notice. And what I say is notice the small things first, because it's those small things that grow into bigger things. And also, things might happen in ways that you don't anticipate. So be open to the essence of what you want coming to you in different ways. But if we have our eyes set on one particular perspective, that may not happen, but something else may happen and probably will happen. So it's about being open to all of this. Yeah.
I love all the possibilities. I mean, my mind is just going right now. I just love everything you've been saying, and I've so much to learn and to notice, to look for.
Yeah.
And also I can see how your intuition is really important in feng shui, so you can pay attention to those things.
Yes. And let me tell you, we all have intuition. We all have it. It's our inner gut feeling. That's what your intuition is. So when you clear away the clutter in your space, you clear away the clutter in your body, you're really opening up so that you are perceiving your intuition. You're in tune with it. You're tapping right into it. We all have it. It's not something that we go and get. We are born with it. In fact, children are very intuitive and they're connected, say, to the other world, the spirit world, until they are about 8 or 9. And around that age, if you have young children in your life, watch them. their imaginary friends, all their connections. About 8 or 9, though, they've picked up that people are telling them, no, that's not true, or that's not real. So we build these covers, these shells around us, for protection from our world. And then what I noticed in a lot of classes I taught, around 40, 30, 40, 50 years old, people are starting to peel off those shells and then get back to their authentic selves so that they are tapping more into their intuition. But it's a protective layer. So with children, I would say nurture them and encourage them to hang on to that intuition and those gut feels that they have, because they're real. Yeah, they really are. So tell me about your spaces. What do you like about your spaces?
I guess what I love about my space is that I've done some clearing since working with you, that what I have around me, what I look at is what I really love and I enjoy
Good.
to be around me, right? I
Mhm.
definitely have some more, as we're talking, more decluttering to do at this point.
Well, you know what? We always do. It's an ongoing process because life is always changing and new things are coming to us every day. And so it's about shifting our, space. But yeah, you're working with it all the time. Yeah. And what's your favorite space, Lori?
Oh, well, it's definitely my back porch,
Mhm.
right outside my back door. I have, this time of year, I have lots of flowers and fairy lights up, and we have a little table with 2 chairs. I read my book out there and sit in the sun or the shade and the heat, and um, it's just a really peaceful place. My
Right.
garden, I can look right at my garden and then the woods. Just last night I was looking out into the woods and there was a ton of fireflies out there and they looked like little fairies flashing all night long, and that's just kind of my favorite
Oh,
space.
that's really fun. That's fun. So a lot of good feng shui aspects to that. Yes. The energies. Yes. And who else? Lori, I think you had some comments you were going to say.
Oh, I like to, I live in New Hampshire.
Mhm.
So we have, same with me. I love the garden outside. We have a little stream that you can hear and go watch, and my flowers. And it's just really peaceful outside. And also I practice Reiki. So I have a Reiki room in the home, which I've arranged, with crystals and just to make it comfortable. So I liked that room as well.
Oh,
And
nice.
yeah,
Nice.
my
And so
husband's a Virgo,
oh,
so
there you go.
he likes everything like nice and uh, s- neat, and we try to keep things flowing. But we've also had friends that have given us a lot of things, so things we need to get let go of too. There's a lot of things that are in the attic and need to come down and get
Yeah.
out of the house.
And what you can do is you can pass them on to, I guess
Yeah,
somebody who likes them, or just move things along. That's a big part of feng shui as well. Yeah, just
right.
moving things along. When somebody gives you something, just, say thank you. But then
Yeah,
if it's not something that you want to keep for the long term or whatever, pass it along. It's
yeah,
okay. Yeah,
right.
absolutely okay. And you mentioned water, so that's a big aspect of feng shui that's associated with the Korea gua or whatever, but water is you want to keep it fresh, keep it clean. So a stream flowing is really good energy. So and we live at a lake. Um, we also happen to have a small pond in that we put into our yard, and we put it in um maybe 25 years ago or so. And it happens to be in the wealth corner of our yard. But when it was first being planned, the flow was going to go away from the house. And then actually, the day before it was going in, I asked my husband, let me see those plans. And then I realized, oh my gosh, it's going to flow away. And I said, no, we need to switch the plan because the water needs to flow towards the house, not away from the house. Because from a feng shui perspective, water carries financial blessings with it, financial blessings and health blessings. So you want those to come to you and not flow away from you. And in another house that we lived in, I noticed that one particular property had a beautiful pond and water flowing, but the flow of the water was away from the house. So it was actually the neighbor that benefited from that flow of water versus the people who put it in. It was beautiful, but the flow was away from their own property. And they probably didn't realize that.
Yeah, so the stream is on the side of it's in the south, it's on the side of the house, and then
Okay.
it goes around the back and away into Lake Winnipesaukee. So it is flowing away on the
Okay.
side and then
From
out
the
the
side,
back.
but it's flowing past your house.
Yes,
Yes. And that's okay. Yeah.
we like it. So
Yes, yes, yes. So it carries blessings with it as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
yeah.
Very nice. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And this is a nice time of year. There's a lot of flowing water out there.
Yes.
And it's clean water. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's great. So it's flowing into the Greater Lake. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm fortunate. I live on 35 acres of land and I have a house and a barn and I have a pond. And I can't really say which is my favorite place because I get to go to all different
They
places.
all sound beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm so thrilled to be able to live here,
Yeah.
especially in today's world. So
That's right.
I can hibernate a lot, and I love that. But I've learned so many different things that, and my pond, I have a spring on like the uphill, but then the runoff goes kind of to the side of my house.
Okay.
But I feel like the spring brings it in. And
Sure.
I spend a
Yeah.
lot of time, I have a little pond house there, and I spend a lot of time just sitting there enjoying all the wildlife that.
Oh, that's awesome. And each of you has really mentioned key aspects of Feng Shui that you are living in spaces that you like. So you have created, you have natural beauty around you. And that's a big part of Feng Shui is having nature all around and tapping into that. And also you've created respites for yourself. So the world out there is crazy, but you can be aware of that without being drawn into it so that it's overwhelming. Be aware of it, but retreat into your own space, into the beauty of your own homes, for replenishing your own energy and for, being healthy and nurturing your families as well. Yeah, it's really, really important. Yeah, and, to have a retreat from the craziness that's out there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love what you said is seeing the beauty all around us, right? I mean, I think it's really important during these times right now to see the beauty that's right there in front of us. Or
Right.
that we create ourselves, right? I mean, this world really is, I mean, we look at all the crazy stuff that's going on, but there really is so much beauty on this earth.
That's exactly right. And so Feng Shui, it's about living in harmony with nature. We are, participants in nature, and it's respecting all of nature
Yeah, that's awesome.
versus fighting it. And so it's helping the earth get back into balance. Yeah, versus harming it. We've done a lot of harm to it. So it's time for us to replenish. Yeah. The earth. And then think about, with Mother Earth, Father Sky. So really helping the earth to be healthy and to stop polluting it and trashing it. And so we see this in a lot of businesses now. The younger generation, they're creating more and more sustainable businesses.
Right.
And so, figuring out how to take better care of our own home, our Mother Earth home, and then our physical homes as well.
This has been so fascinating, Peg. Can you tell us where that people can reach you if they would like to work with you?
Oh, absolutely. So my business is fengshuiconnections.com. It's spelled FENG, connections with an S.com, fengshuiconnections.com. So you can go right there on my website. You can also contact me. My phone is 603-867-4347. 603-867-4347. On my website, there's a contact form. You can also find me on Calendly. where you can make, I'm always happy to give people complimentary 15 minutes. So if you have a quick question and if it needs to go deeper, I'll tell you, how we can work together. But I do Feng Shui consultations. I do, and they can be full or they can be, a full one might be several hours working with somebody and doing a whole, plan, recommendation. Could be a half hour, could be an hour, whatever the issue is. I do personal energy clearings. I do space clearings, life coaching. Yeah, sort of all combined. It's based on what is it that you're trying to shift or change in your life, and if there's something there that I can help you with, I'm happy to do that.
That's
Yeah.
great. And we will put all of your contact information in the comments below and attached to this video so that you can find her easily. And having worked with her before, I highly recommend it.
Oh, thank you.
Not only does it help you and shift energy, but it's fun. Peg makes it very fun and easy. So it was very enjoyable and I highly recommend it.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah. Well, that's what I try to do is really cut right to the heart of it, knowing that it is can be a complex subject, but it doesn't need to be a complex subject. You cut right to the chase. You identify what it is you want, and then I help you zero right in on it.
Yeah, and it wasn't scary. It wasn't like you came in and said, "Here are all your problems," and it was fun. You
Not at
gave
all.
me, yeah, not at all. You gave me where placements was and fun ideas, how to amp up that energy. You taught me a ton, and no, like I said, it wasn't heavy or anything. It was light and fun, and I learned a lot, and it really did help.
Okay, great. And I do write a newsletter once a month, so people can sign up on my newsletter list. It's out of my website, and I'll be candid with you. I am not active on social media. I'm out there, but don't contact me there because I'm really not active there. That's not my thing to do. I just do my work with people, but I'm not out really promoting everything I do. I just work with people privately, and also all of the work I do is confidential. So, I respect that and with every client I work with. So, people have always found me for 25 years. It's really through referrals. Yeah.
That's great. Well, we can't thank you enough for sharing your knowledge and information with us and being on our show. We've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Well, thank each of you. And as always, if you have any questions, just send me a note or give me a call and I'm happy to help you out.
Fantastic. If you've liked this video as much as we have, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, how is your intuition leading you to the next perfect step?